Welcome everyone to the Women Leadership Summit. I'm Trish Sadar, and I'm honored to introduce you to today's speaker, Denise Minor. A little bit about Denise. She is a senior partner in Mindspring, Metro DC, and prior to that, she spent over 28 years in public service as a special agent with the FBI. During that time, she represented the FBI in overseas counterterrorism investigations. She led one of the FBI's legal attaché offices and worked with other various foreign law enforcement agencies. As a certified FBI instructor, she worked as a facilitator and instructor in the FBI's Leadership Development Program to improve and shift the management culture in the FBI to a culture of leadership by training over 4,500 frontline supervisors, senior executives, aspiring supervisors, and new supervisors. Denise has a BA from Colorado College and a JD from Lewis and Clark Law School. Today she's going to share with us how to see that everything is a possibility. All you have to do is know yourself, stay on your path, and then nothing can derail you. Denise, thank you so much for joining us at the Women Leadership Summit.
You talk about how to see everything as possibilities. How do I do that, especially if I'm an emerging leader and I'm struggling with my job and my employees and how to be a leader? How do I see everything as a possibility?
Okay, well, you start by setting an intention to be whatever it is you want to be or to do whatever it is you want to do. And the example for me, seeing everything as a possibility, before I became an FBI agent, I was in a dead-end job and I was not happy going to work and I didn't know what I was going to do. And a very close friend suggested that I become an FBI agent. And I was quite shocked. I'm like, what? Me? An FBI agent?
Right.
So then I started seeing that as a possibility, as something that could help me get out of a dead-end job and not just be stuck. And when I decided that I was going to be an agent, I didn't think of anything else. I didn't think about, it's a male-dominated business, or there might not be very many African American women involved, or would I be able to shoot a weapon? I never had any of those thoughts. I just knew that once I decided and set my intention to become an agent, that's what I would do.
When you decided that that's the path that you were going to go, you didn't see anything else? You just saw that, okay, this is what I'm going to do?
Exactly. And everything fell into line. I left that position and started training and just moved in that direction. And there were some difficulties along the path because I had not done anything physical in several years and had to get myself physically fit in order to pass the physical fitness test. But once again, another friend presented himself and said, "Oh, I'll help you train." And there I had my program. So it's very powerful setting the intention because the things you need, they seem to just show up.
Wow. And, so when it came time for you to get into shape to be in the FBI, that's what you did? You just said, I just need to get into shape, and this friend said, Denise, I'll help you?
Exactly.
Wow, that's easy. That's great.
Yeah.
Now, you talked about some struggles when you're in the FBI. Now, I read a lot about you. I was reading old newspaper articles and things online. And is it true that you were not only one of the few female FBI agents, but you were the first African-American female? Is that true?
Only the first African-American female agent in the Oklahoma City division.
Okay.
That's what individuals in the division told me, but not the first, in the FBI, no. It was just in the Oklahoma City division, and that was my first office. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And tell me what you said. There were some challenges when you first started. So what were some of the challenges that you experienced as a leader and as a woman, and what did you do at that point during every single challenge to get through them?
After I graduated from the academy, I was just very focused while I was there, so I was able to, I had injured my thumb while I was shooting, and I had an abdominal injury for some of the physical training. Just stayed focused and did what I needed to do to rest when I needed to rest, but then I was ready to be informed for the final exam. So overcoming those physical challenges, I just did not focus on, wow, I'm done or anything like that. It was more like, okay, this has happened, so how do I uh, change my focus, or how do I change the path a little bit to make sure that I end up graduating when I was supposed to? And things just worked out. So once I went to Oklahoma City, it was quite a challenge because a lot of the older male agents were quite surprised and made certain comments about me being wanting to be a man, and I quickly countered, well, a female view could bring some very interesting perspective to some of these investigations that you had not experienced. And that caused a lot of the guys to go, she may be right. And I worked hard and proved myself. There were some supervisors who um, were very, how would I say, critical. But later, one of the guys, the main guy that caused me a lot of problems, I wasn't good enough. I didn't do this investigation well enough. And when the inspection came, I was told that as a new agent, they had never seen such complete files in all of their careers as inspectors in the FBI.
Wow.
And
Now that was when
yeah,
you first, that was during the early years when you first started
yes,
out?
when I first started out in Oklahoma City, yes, because I was very meticulous in my work, and as an attorney, I knew how to ask questions and how to focus the investigation in order to substantiate, the allegations that were made that were in line with the statutes that we were investigating. And so my files were very complete, and I was told that anyone could just pick up my file and follow the investigation. So that made me feel very good, and it made my confidence level go up when I thought that I was a horrible agent because of the complaints that this one supervisor was always making. And later he admitted that he apologized and said that he knew that he had given me a hard time.
Yeah.
However, he was just not used to working with a woman, let alone an African American woman. So
Wow.
uh,
So he admitted he was wrong and he apologized. That must
absolutely.
have felt really great at that point.
Yes, it did. It really did. And it took a lot of courage for him, I think, to apologize. And I accepted it and, moved on. So,
Wow. Really, really important. And I just want to clarify for myself and
hmm
also for the listeners.
okay.
When you were faced with those obstacles, you had said you asked yourself a few questions and you looked at it in this way. You said, this happened.
hmm
And one of the questions you said, how do I change my focus or shift my
hmm
focus?
hmm
And then you said, what do I need to do in order to still hit my goal? So
Exactly.
are those, and then when you said that in your other challenges that you're experiencing, and the reason why you are so great at investigation is that you ask the right questions and they're aligned with the goal of whatever the project was. Do you
Exactly.
think that there's something to that for all the listeners to hear, that you knew what questions to ask, you change your approach?
Exactly. It's very important and that's all about knowing who you are as an individual,
Okay.
um, and knowing and being confident in yourself, even though there are difficulties. And I hope I'm answering your question. Even though there are
Yeah.
difficulties, and you just continue being curious for yourself and asking the questions, you know that you're on the right path, because all of the difficulties that this person brought to me, I could have questioned the fact, should I really be an FBI agent? Is this
Sure.
really the job? Yeah, is this really the job for me? But I just knew that I was making an impact on, the investigations that I was working, and the respect that I had for people, and the fact that more and more agents wanted to work with me and have me on their team.
How you ask the right questions is knowing yourself. As you
Mhm.
said, you have to know yourself, believe in yourself, and
Mhm.
even when you have doubters, such as that one FBI agent that was questioning if you should be here, you said you could have questioned yourself, but you stayed true to your path, and you knew who you were, and you knew you were making a difference. That certainly answered the question from that perspective. I was just curious with the questions that you asked yourself, because I think there's power to those questions, that you looked at it objectively and you just said, how do I change my focus so I accomplish this goal, whatever that was. So I like that.
Yes.
What would you say when you are in those points? Let's say I'm a new leader and I've made a lot of mistakes and I'm facing a lot of obstacles. I mean, I have staff those that I can't motivate. I have turnover. I have my peers and my leaders that are giving me new challenges and might be questioning if I'm ready for leadership. What can I
Mhm.
do to step up, and if and at that time, when do I know that I'm making a difference, like you said, and adding value?
Okay, so the way I understood what you were saying, so everything's a mess, and as a new leader, you want to figure out how to get out of the mess. So everything's a mess, and you see people leaving, and things are piling up, and you're not feeling confident. I would, and what I would do is suggest that in that situation or those situations, one takes the time to stop and do some personal reflection and think about what it is that you want to achieve specifically. Yes, you don't want to have the turnover, but instead of focusing on the fact that, oh, there's all of this turnover, focus on what can I do to keep the people here, motivate the people that are here. So it all comes from within. So once you do that, that will allow you to be centered and focused because you really want to maintain, the workforce and the people working with you. And sometimes it's great that some of the people are leaving because maybe they're the ones that shouldn't be there. So
Sure.
yeah, so instead of seeing people leaving and the turnover as totally a problem, maybe those people should go, and that's helping you in a way. So keeping a positive attitude and just looking at a possibility of what you can do with what team that you have left. And once you do that and appreciate the situation that you have, then you can focus on maybe having conversations with the individuals. Okay, why are you wanting to leave, or why are you not motivated? What can I do to help you get motivated? So it's to have the dialogue within yourself, then go out to the individuals on your team and to find out what you can do and what motivates them and getting to know them as well. It's not going to happen overnight because it's taken time to get things, let things are messed up. But once you admit that this is the situation and you want to move forward, it's much easier to corral things and get things on the right track.
So, I mean, it's really simple. Yet, when things are a mess like that, and we're having doubt, we need to stop. We need to reflect,
Mm-hmm.
and like you said, everything is within. We need to think
Mm-hmm.
about what we want to achieve and what we can do. And you said, don't focus on the mess. Focus on
Exactly.
what you can do. And you said that you need to have that dialogue within first, and then once you decide within what you can do, then you're ready to have those dialogue conversations with everyone else with those solutions.
Exactly. Exactly. And a quick example for me is I was a supervisor in New York. Well, I was an outsider coming from the headquarters office, and I didn't think about the fact that it was a challenge because normally all the supervisory positions in New York were hired from within. So
Oh,
I was hired from headquarters, and the boss or the person who hired me knew I had the confidence to come in and do and fix the problems that were there. So once again, I had the intention, and I didn't think about all the outside obstacles that people were talking about, or normally, before I left, it's like, oh, wow, you're going into a maze, or all the comments people were making. I just kept focused and kept my attention on the fact of doing a great job, having a great team. And yes, people left, but those were the people that needed to leave, because I set out what I expected from my team, and I went in with the expectations and stated the expectations. And those who couldn't live up to the expectations left. And initially, I was concerned, but then finally, I'm like, well, these were all the negative people that didn't want to work, and they were finding ways where they didn't have to work. So it ended up being it's the possibility to have a cohesive, tight squad worked because those people left. So it ended
Wow.
up being a possibility, and it's how I looked at it. So, yeah.
Okay, so this is all making sense. So every single time you're looking at your possibilities and what you can do, and that's where you shift your focus, not in the
Absolutely.
obstacles. You almost need to blur out those obstacles. You have a plan now. You've given us tools. You have a leader that's doing these things. And they've tried a few different things. They keep thinking about the possibilities. They keep shifting their focus. They're not thinking about the obstacles, and things are still not working. What do you suggest that they do then? That they're doing everything you told them to.
Okay. If things are still not working, that to me would be, and for me would be a sign that I just need to let go and try to and find another possibility. And
Okay.
actually, this has happened to me when I was overseas. I was just having so many problems with the staff, and no matter how I tried to, get us cohesive and to work together, it just was like going uphill,
Right.
and it was an obstacle every step of the way. And people just it was a small office. There was just three of us, and it was a first all female office in the legal attaché overseas, and I wanted to be very successful. But there were just so many problems. And what I did was still maintained my professionalism and still maintained my expectations in working with the team that I had. And then I finally just had a conversation with a particular person and just said, I have done everything that I could to help our team move forward. Um, I've made a list of some of the things that I had done.
Sure.
We had conversations, and finally, this person just said, I just don't want to be here, and I did not want to um, let you know that I didn't want to be here. So instead, I created all this mess and all the problems.
You're kidding me.
No, no. Yeah, so I just had a deeper conversation with this person and just finally just said, I've tried everything. We have a great assignment, we have this and we have that. And so once again, I saw it as a possibility because I didn't get drowned in all the things that appeared not to work. I was persistent and just decided to, once I did my reflection and like what else do I need to do? And so when I was at my rope's end, I just actually had a conversation with this person and then just asked this person, what else can I do? And then, that opened up that conversation.
I
And
love
after
that.
that, we, we had a great working relationship and things flowed and we're having fun,
Wow.
And it's happened, before when I was in New York, I had an agent that no matter what I assigned this person, there was always some kind of big blowout or a mistake. And so my inclination was like, what am I doing? It's not to take things, it's the main thing is not to take things personally. So I sat this guy down and I asked him, I said, what is the problem? I mean, we work well together, but every time I make this assignment, there's some big major blowout that happens that creates more issues. And he said, well, I thought that if I did a good job, I would get more work. And I didn't want to get more
No
work.
way. You
Yes,
are
yes.
kidding me. Oh my
No, I'm
gosh.
not. So I reminded him of the previous conversation that I had with the entire squad that if you feel overworked, please come and tell me. I monitor the work assignments, but I might not, be aware of certain things. So you just need to just come and talk to me. And he goes, yes, you did say that. I said, so what made you think that you couldn't talk to me
Right.
and let me know? He goes, well, being in the government, the people that do the great work are always the ones that are overworked. And so I said, well, no one on our squad is overworked. And he said, that's true. I said, so what made you think that you would be overworked? So that's how we went through the conversation. So in order to answer your question, things keep falling apart.
You have to have those difficult conversations. And it sounds like you said some important things there, and I want to go back to them. You didn't
Okay.
you didn't let your ego get in the way. You didn't take it personal. You didn't make
Exactly.
any assumptions. You just sat down, and it seems like in every example that you provided that you were very open and you weren't stubborn.
Exactly.
You didn't let your ego get in the way. You were persistent, you said, but you
Mhm.
weren't stubborn. So
Exactly.
tell us how, if someone wants to follow what you're saying and they're like, okay, I'm going to be persistent and focused, what's the
Mhm.
difference between persistence and stubbornness?
Okay, for me, persistence is being open and being able to adapt to a particular situation that appears before someone, and it allows you to grow. Now, stubbornness to me is, if you're closed and it's like regardless of what's happening, I'm just going to just stay the course. Well, sometimes you might have to shift the course a little bit to still get to the end goal or to see a possibility, to be open up to the possibility.
Mm.
Uh, does that make sense?
I love that. So persistence means that I'm still being focused on the goal.
Mhm.
However, I am paying attention, I'm noticing
Exactly.
what's working, and I'm
Exactly.
open to
Mhm.
possibilities and I'm adapting. Whereas
Exactly.
stubbornness, it's almost like you have blinders on with stubbornness. You're just closed.
Exactly.
And you're
Exactly.
not open to shifting your course. And in your situations when things were difficult and you really did do everything within your control,
Mhm.
you sat down and you had those difficult conversations with your peer, with with your team, and that really
Exactly.
opened the door.
Mhm.
That's really valuable. That's really valuable. Those type of experiences can be very emotional. They
Mhm.
can. It's easy to say, don't let your ego get in the way. Don't take things personal.
Mhm.
What can you do with your emotions to make sure that you're doing that and you're staying on course and being the best version of you in those situations?
Personal reflection, personal time. So I let those emotions, how I'm feeling with the particular situation, I let those occur in my personal time. So when I'm having those difficult conversations, I can be professional, be compassionate, and be open to what I'm hearing.
That answered it perfectly. And Denise, what you're saying is really, really valuable because when you're talking about staying on your path, you're describing that with the difference between being persistent and being stubborn. And I think that's really helpful for me because I can certainly be stubborn at times. I can be persistent, but now I see the difference.
Mhm.
And and the whole theme of our talk today is how not to let anything derail you. And
Exactly.
you've really given us tools because you said you don't even see the obstacles. To be open to possibilities, you just have to stay laser focused and look
Mhm.
at what you can do and keep adapting your approach and don't take things personal. So that is very valuable as well. The
Yes.
last thing that I really would love for you to share with us is how do we stay professional and compassionate and open? You said that the key is to know yourself. How do you get to
Exactly.
know yourself?
Well, you get to know what I do and I'm still working on knowing myself because we change every single day. But I make sure to have quiet time. Some people might want to call meditation, um, reflection, but I make sure to have that quiet time where I go through my day, and I also review how I treated people, how I've acted, relates to my values of professionalism and trust and integrity. So it's just mainly you've got to. People feel like they don't have time to slow down, but one of the things that is key, especially for me, is to slow down and have my quiet time, either in the morning or evening or even during the day. It doesn't have to be hours long. It could be 5 or 10 minutes. But just being able to be self-aware and have that time to know, and it's almost like you're watching yourself and how you
Sure.
act and how you show up and how you impact others. And it's just that self-awareness.
I love that.
Hmm.
So we need to have that time for self-reflection so we can have that self-awareness and be able to
Exactly.
look in the mirror and say, how am I doing? And how am I
Exactly.
doing consistent to my values and the best version of myself? I love it. I
Exactly.
love it.
Hmm.
Um, is there anything
So,
else that you think for our listeners that they need to know, do, or be in order to be open to possibilities?
well, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but know yourself. Socrates was the first to say, know thyself. And
Yes.
that is the key. Do have quiet time, reflective time in order to know yourself, to become self-aware. And for the being part is to be positive, have a positive mindset, and just keeping your focus on, seeing everything as a possibility. And when you see everything as a possibility, you automatically just stay positive. I mean, even when I say I see everything as a possibility, I have a smile on my face because, you know, that's how I feel.
That's right. So your attitude is definitely showing up today. So thank you so much, Denise. Can you tell the listeners where they can find out more about you? And also, I know you have a free gift for everyone.
Yes, they can go to www.mindspringmetrodc.com, and then they can go to www.mindspringmetrodc.com/blog slash. So that is where they can see, our information about perception, leadership, thinking styles, and emotional intelligence. And then after, the listeners sign up for the newsletter, they will receive information on a complimentary webinar, which will take a deeper look into perception and how one can change their thoughts by simply, change their life by simply changing their thoughts. And this will also help for seeing everything as a possibility. Because once you change your thoughts and you can see everything as a possibility.
Oh, I love that. Wow, I'll certainly be doing that as well.
Okay,
Well,
great.
thank you again, Denise. And I just want to thank all of the listeners for